Mic drop, even though I can't drop my mic because it's like pinned to me. But if I had a mic, I would drop it now and leave with my pasta. This spaghetti is like a triple threat umami bomb. There's miso, there's mushrooms, there's parmesan, all the things combined create one epic pasta. Okay, let's talk about the mushrooms first. And I have this gorgeous array of all these different mushrooms. You could choose whatever's at your local farmer's market or supermarket. I've got some shimeji Japanese mushrooms here, and I just need to cut the base off those. Now I've also got some oyster mushrooms, and these are so cute. In Thai we call them het nang fa, which means angel mushroom. Just love that. Now I just like to cut the bottom stem of these is a bit tough, so I cut that off, and then I just like to tear these by hand, so I think it gives them a better texture, just the larger pieces. Now time for the king mushroom. These guys have so much flavor, and boy do they love butter. Mushrooms and butter. Something so special about that combination. So I just want to slice these. I'm just going to cut sort of bigger pieces into smaller bite-sized pieces. And I've got a few button mushrooms here. Now don't think you've got to go out and get like a billion mushrooms to make this pasta. It's just as good if you just use one or two types, or even just a plain button mushroom like these ones. And the shiitakes. Now the stem on the shiitake is also a little bit tough for me, so I take those off and then just slice those. And finally, some enoki mushrooms. And I love the texture of these. They go all silky and soft, but I'm going to leave them separate to the others because they just need to go in at the last minute. Otherwise they overcook a little. Okay, so that's my mushrooms all done and prepared. So now we're going to get on to the pasta sauce. Now butter first, and then just a little dash of vegetable oil. You could use olive oil as well. Once that butter is foaming, I'm going to add my mushrooms in. And then just a little bit of salt. So the miso is going to be salty, so we just want a little bit here just to help draw out the moisture from those mushrooms. And now just let these sit for a while. I really want to get a bit of colour on the bottom of these, so I'm not going to mess around with them too much at the beginning. Now I can start to smell that butter and mushroom caramelization happening, so I'm going to turn these over. And already we're seeing some lovely golden colour. So at this point I want to get my spaghetti started, and I'm going to really heavily salt that water. Always salt your water for pasta. Let's grab my spaghetti. Okay, just let that bubble away. And now that I've got the lovely colour on my mushroom, I'm going to add the garlic now, because sometimes I find if I add it at the beginning, it burns before I get the mushrooms cooked properly. Right, now these mushrooms have a beautiful colour, they're nice and soft. Time to add my miso paste. So this is just a white miso paste, or a shiro miso paste. And then I want to scoop off a whole bunch of that pasta water. Try and get the part where it's foamy, because that's got the starch. And that goes into our pan to make the sauce. So at this point you do want the sauce to be quite liquidy. I'm going to cook this pasta al dente, or just before al dente, and then I'm going to finish the cooking off in the pan, and that pasta is going to soak up all of that awesome liquid. Okay, pasta's looking good. I'm going to get that straight into these mushrooms. And now I leave the heat on, and then I'm just going to stir everything together. And just like magic, that pasta is going to soak up that sauce, and everything is going to get super creamy and luscious. And I want to add in those enoki mushrooms. They'll just cook at the last second. And some spring onion. Generous grating of parmesan cheese. Now that is one good looking pan of pasta. Now all we need is a giant bowl. Pile it all up, and one more little sprinkling of parmesan. Creamy, intense tomatoey sauce. A few little secret ingredients here to ramp up the flavor. Did I mention cheese? There's cheese. This is my creamy tomato vodka pasta. Okay friends, so we are going to make a tomato sauce that is more tomatoey, creamier, so much more intense in flavor, and we're gonna do it in record time. So a few little tips and tricks coming up. Let's get going on that sauce, the all important sauce first of all. Okay, we're gonna start off generic, olive oil. Not controversial yet. And some onions. Now the trick here, guys, is you need to give that onion some time. If you start out with raw onion flavor in your sauce, you'll have raw onion flavor at the end. So give it some time in the oil. I want to put a little bit of salt in there. The salt is not just for flavor here. The salt is going to help draw out some of that moisture in the onion, which is going to help it cook down and get sweeter and all those things. So, salt. Before it's ready, I am going to add in some garlic as well, because I want that to kind of soften and bloom in the oil as well. Now give this 2 or 3 minutes at least. All right, looking good, smelling good. There's just something about garlic and onions simmering away in some olive oil that always makes me happy. I want to go in here with some tomato paste. Now we're going to start to get funky with the ingredients after here. What we're doing with the tomato paste is adding in our first layer of like umami-ness. You guys know that I love to mention umami in my videos, but I do think it's a very important part of sort of like leveling up your cooking game at home, is understanding that sort of extra savory element that you can add in just about anything. So tomato paste, really good source of glutamates, which gives you the flavor, that savory flavor. Give it a couple of moments in here just to cook a little. And now we want to go in with some vodka. So the vodka isn't just a gimmick here. The reason we're adding vodka is that vodka will help to like creamy things up straight away. You'll see when I get that in the pan. But also alcohol is a really good flavor carrier. Vodka itself, no flavor, but vodka, like alcohol molecules, will pick up all the flavor and disperse it, make it more flavorful, intense, amazing. So there is, you know, method to the madness, everyone. Look, if you want to keep your cooking alcohol free, that's totally cool. Just leave it out. But I'm going to add in vodka. Now have a look here. So things automatically kind of creaming up. Is that even a word? Creamying up, whatever. It's emulsifying. The oils, like the oil and the sauce and everything, is kind of turning into one homogeneous, beautiful thing already. So that's the kind of thing we're going for there. I'm going to let this simmer for a couple of minutes just to kind of burn off some of the alcohol and yeah, and concentrate the flavors. Again, we're just concentrating everything here. Now we're going to go in with some tomatoes. I always prefer like whole tomatoes. So these are whole cherry tomatoes, tinned tomatoes, whole peel tomatoes would be great as well. I just think they've got more concentrate. Wow, I'm really saying there's a lot of concentrated flavor than crushed tomatoes. And now in we go with all the bits and pieces, the extra, you know, bits and pieces that are not so traditional. We want some miso paste. Again, miso paste is giving you that like salty umami flavor. And it kind of, what it does in this sauce is it allows you to get a really rich, deep flavor very quickly without simmering for ages. So you kind of get a really fresh tomato flavor still, but an intense tomato flavor. Now I'm going to go in here with some soy sauce as well, basically for all the reasons that I've just mentioned before. Okay, soy sauce. Now I also want to go in with some star anise. Star anise, not a very typical ingredient, but it kind of adds this background yumminess, which is really good. And then I'm going to go in with just a chili here. I often put a dried chili in. I've just got some fresh chilies, so I'm going to add that in for a little hint of like kind of chili spice. Now it just kind of like coax that miso into the rest of the sauce there. And you only need to simmer this for like, you know, 5 minutes and you've got a really intense sauce. So in the meantime, I'll let that sort of bubble away. Let's get going on the pasta. So for the pasta, you want to get a big pot of boiling water, throw in a lot of salt. That salt really helps to flavor the pasta, but it also gives the pasta a really good kind of texture that lets it soak up all the sauce a little bit later on. So you can choose your own adventure with the pasta here. Look, this will go with any shape of pasta, long, spaghetti, linguine. I happen to have some little short ones here. Rigati, apparently that is in my very non-Italian accent. Don't laugh at me, I'm really bad at accents and I'm not even gonna try to pretend. I've just got this shape of pasta. I do like it though because it is ridged and it really like soaks up the pasta sauce. So I do like that texture. All right, so into the water. So while the pasta's cooking, let's get back to our pasta sauce. Now, I just wanna pull out the star anise and the chili. And now just give this a blitz, either in a blender or with a stick blender like I've got here. All right, so at this point, we've got like a fairly smooth, lovely tomatoey sauce, and you could totally leave it at that. I'm just gonna go a little bit more OTT here and add some cream. Stir that through. And now let's have a look at our pasta. Okay, these guys look ready. I am going to get them straight out and into my sauce. Now, crucial bit here, get yourself some of that starchy pasta water that's left. Keep that over here. Now, you want to start mixing that pasta into that sauce while the sauce is on like a low heat. Looking so good already. Now, the one thing that's going to bring all of this together and again give us like a really lush, creamy kind of sauce is some more of that pasta water. So just sort of drizzle that in and mix. And that is looking really good. Look at that creamy, the shiny, all the things like, and that sauce like just like clinging for dear life to each bit of pasta. And that's exactly what you want. Ah, amazing. Let's get that out onto a plate. Now for me, a non-negotiable is the cheese, of course. I'm using pecorino today. Any kind of Parmesan, Parmigiano Reggiano, anything you like would be great here. A little bit of olive oil. And there you go, guys. My creamy, tomatoey vodka pasta sauce. Oh, wow, look at that pasta and that cheese and the sauce and oh my goodness, all the things. Oh. You know what I love about that? Is that all at the same time, it's creamy, but fresh, but intense. And cheesy, and all the things that good pasta should be. Oh my goodness. I am one happy girl right now. Yum. Holy smokes, look at that cheese. Should we watch it again? Let's watch the cheese some more. Really just want to eat this spoon, but I will refrain. Let's get it into the dish before I eat it all. You got it, my friends. We are making a creamy 4-cheese miso mac and cheese. Okay guys, it's like my favorite day of the year, the day we make the creamiest, cheesiest, most umami flavor packed mac and cheese ever. Yes, you can tell that I'm really excited. Let's get going on. We're gonna make a bechamel. So like I toyed with a whole bunch of ways to make mac and cheese. I like the bechamel base. I think it gives you the best kind of mouthfeel and cheesiness and the best kind of bake as well. So we're gonna do it that way. We're gonna start with some milk. And like, because this is mac and cheese, like I didn't want this to be an overly complicated recipe, but you know, you can still add simple things that make things even better that don't take literally any time at all. So I am going to infuse my milk with just a few thyme sprigs. You could use rosemary as well if you like, or you could just keep it simple and leave it out. Choose your own adventure. But the main thing is though, I want to add some like bang flavor here, extra flavor, extra saltiness, extra umami. So I'm going to add in some miso paste. And the idea here is I don't want that milk to boil. I want it to heat up just enough so that I can get that miso paste dissolving and those thyme kind of flavors into the milk. Just need to give that a bit of a whisk, help that miso along. Okay, this is looking good. It's just warmed up enough that miso is dissolved. I'm gonna pull out those thyme sprigs. If you leave a few in there, it doesn't matter. And now while that milk's still warm, so this is like the key thing, the key to getting a really nice, creamy, non-lumpy bechamel is to make sure your milk is warm. If it's cold, you will just get like, it will be a disaster, trust me. Let's get the butter heating up. Now, just when that butter is starting to foam and sizzle a little bit, now we want to add in the flour. We're just making a basic roux here. So a roux is like a cooked butter flour mixture. It's going to thicken up everything. Now make sure you're stirring that straight away. And you want to give this some time to cook a little as you're stirring so that some of that kind of floury taste gets cooked out a little bit. Okay, just like, you know, a minute or so is good. And now go in with your warm milk, kind of a little at a time, like just sort of put a big splash in. And a stir. Now you want to get in here with a whisk and just whisk out any lumps that you might have. And at this point, we're just waiting for this to thicken up and get like all creamy and lush. Now, before we get started on the rest of the bechamel, I'm just going to pop my pasta into the water to cook. I'm using little curly whirlies here. You could use macaroni, whatever kind of short pasta you kind of like. Okay, so this kind of creaminess is what we're after with our bechamel sauce. Oh, look at that, just perfect. Now we want to go in with the cheese. So my ultimate combo for a mac and cheese after multiple trial and error situations is this. I've got some Gouda, I've got some Gruyere, I've got some Swiss cheese, and I've got some mozzarella. I love all of these things because they all have really good kind of stretchy qualities. And as long as we don't go too high on the temp when we put the cheese into the sauce, we won't get much of that kind of oily business happening, which you can get from a cheddar. So let's, without further ado, let's get this cheese in here. And now we get to the bit that I love, which is like creating the cheesy creaminess that we all love for a mac and cheese. Look at that. Wow, it's like total wow moment. Look at that cheese stretch. Oh my goodness. I mean, literally, I could like get in with a spoon right now and just demolish quite a bit of that, which is probably crazy, but true. I could at least stick my finger in here, otherwise I'm just gonna, die. Wow. Guys, that little hit of miso is so good in there. It's like this little background kind of earthy saltiness. Epic. Let's get the pasta in there though, because we need to get the pasta in there. And this is also very satisfying. You know, mac and cheese is not just satisfying when you eat it, it's like so satisfying to cook. Check this out, look at that pasta just oozing with that cheese. Okay, so you need a large baking dish because I've literally made like enough mac and cheese to feed, I don't know, the cast of Survivor. Let's get this in here. Oh my goodness, look at that oozing amazingness. It's like so stringy. Okay, just spread everything out a little in there. And now I'm gonna get this in the oven first. So this is my little technique for getting a crispy topping, a golden topping. So I like to get the cheesy pasta getting some nice color first before I get my breadcrumbs on there. So into the oven about 10 or 15 minutes until you just see little golden spots everywhere. So while we're waiting for the cheesy pasta to do its thing, let's make that crumb topping that I was talking about. I want to start off with some panko breadcrumbs. And I'm going to go in here with some Japanese sort of chili spice seasoning. This is called sashimi togarashi. It has like some cool things in here. It's got like chili powder, sesame seeds, also kind of like citrus peel, lots of other little magic things that make things taste good. And just a little spicy. It's not too heavy-handed with the chili. Also beautiful color. And then here's my little like secret ingredient that I like to add here, and that is some lemon zest. It kind of adds this beautiful light fragrance and freshness just at the end. And now you want a really big hit of salt here. So I haven't done any salting in the mac and cheese part because we've got the miso in there, which is a little salty. So you do need quite a bit of aggressive seasoning here. All right, so we're like sort of halfway dressed for the party now. We've got some pretty good looking, golden bits and pieces on there. What I want to do now is get our breadcrumb mix on the top. Get like a load of that stuff on there. That's good stuff. Now this goes back into the oven for another 30 minutes or until everything is looking really golden and delicious. So there you go, friends. Like some pretty awesome mac and cheese right here. My version of a creamy 4-cheese mac and cheese. Oh my goodness. I need to get in here with like the biggest piece in the world. I'm gonna really enjoy this, I can tell. So like, that texture is so silky and velvety, and the cheesiness is like next level. That little hint of the miso, so good. And of course, because I'm me, like that little extra bit of spice, ridiculous. Like, I'm done. Mic drop, even though I can't drop my mic because it's like pinned to me. But if I had a mic, I would drop it now and leave with my pasta. If you've got any comments or questions, pop them below. And if you enjoyed the video, why not hit that subscribe button plus the little bell one, and that way you'll get notified every time I release a new video. Thanks, guys.